Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today, we are once again playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. When we last left off, we had talked to all of the witnesses, and we only got one shot at them, and every single juror voted against us. But in this episode, we are going to poll the jury. We're going to be asking them, why did you vote no? Explain your reasons. And we're going to try and sway them. So this is, 12 angry men, basically? Like, we're going to try and sway them one juror at a time. Without further ado, let's hop into this drama. The jurors' contentions. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and have drawn the logical conclusion. You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief. Oh boy. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. She's checking her book. According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then... They've reached their conclusion by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a unified front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. Okay. Not sure I fully understand, but... We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, we then contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see. So it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. Okay. In a way, then, it's similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes. I suppose you're right. Okay. We're becoming one with ourselves so we can, identify our inner lawyer. Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. All right, here we go. I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off. It's all for Kazuma's sake, right? Can we start the proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. It's really hard to do a Santa Claus voice, guys. Yes, my lord. Alright, I should just be like, ho, ho, ho. That's the voice I should use, right? Alright. The defense's rebuttal. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers and 4 fares totaling 20 pence. Alright, that means that he's charging more than the other guy, right? Okay, so 4 passengers, 20 divided by 4, that's 5 pence apiece. That's already a contradiction to the other person. So if we press her, hold it! What does she say? But does his ability to recall his takings that night really tell us how trustworthy the man is? I manage all his lordship's cash affairs, so I'm very particular when it comes to accounts. Let's see. A single penny can mean the difference between life and death after all, can't it? That's a saying in your country? My point is, a man who minds his figures is a man you can trust. Those of us in service would swear to that, sir. She's gonna be Southern now. Does that bench really need any more polishing? So if the good driver says that he saw Mr. McGilden in the act, I don't doubt him. The only task left to do today is disposing of the rubbish. Now wait a minute. One of the other jurors mentioned something about money, I think. Indeed he did, and it was less than what she just said he charged. Now would be a very good time to listen carefully to the jurors' statements again, Mr. Naruto. If you notice an inconsistency in what 2 different jurors are saying, I should expose it by pitting them against each other. Yes, let's see if I can do just that. Alright. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence in years. But have you? Let's see. It was this one. Yes. Let's pit them.
Objection!
There we go. Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other. They do. Explain yourself, counsel. Me? Oh dear, what have I said? Swear on Silverblaze's main and name. I haven't the first idea what you're talking about. Hello, Drizzle. It's Drizzle 007. How are you today? According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right. I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. By the way, I'm terrible at voices, so don't mind me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. That's it. A fair and convenient single price. Just the way London's carriages should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication, it would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely, 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes. In other words, on that omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about. Good gracious! His wig goes askew. This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon? Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Alright then, how do I make this miserable trial doesn't end, huh? Let's see, she's looking in her book quickly. Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire onto the innocent side of the set of scales. Now hold your horses there, coachman. We were all in agreement. Why do you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo. Oh, man. Yay! Oh, it's going the other way. This is all very irritating. I'm begging your pardon, sir. I'm going to do the same. That's two for us. They're very fickle. For the love of Mike, not you as well. A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exact standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruto. You did it. If we can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue. 2 more. Actually, there is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. Then that's where you must strike next. So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. You can do it. Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavily on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination. I'm trying on that Santa voice, guys. I'm changing my leaning to innocent. I should like to hear what the slipshod bookkeeper has to say for himself. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. Beppo, this trial has to continue so I can get to the bottom of this corruption. Not guilty, I say. The scoundrel stabbing that poor old man on the floor, it beggars belief. Okay, so how could he stab him in the side if he was on the floor? That's 2 different motions, right? Let's press her and find out what she has to say. I really think you should stop waving that needle around. You heard what the good coachman said before, didn't you? That hideous man stabbed the poor fellow just like this. Yes, that's what he said. You're right. Gilded Park is such a lovely little place, too. I've always enjoyed resting my legs there while I get on with my knitting. And I thought that anyone who donated such a delightful place must be a fine fellow indeed. I suppose I was wrong. Poor old Grandma. Whoever would have thought he was a miserable murdering moneylender with not a scrap of remorse? Oh, help. She's as sure can be that he's guilty now. The old lady certainly seems to know her mind, doesn't she? Alright, let's pit. With Grandma.
Objection!
Alright. Those 2 statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel, post haste. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, dearie me, I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What's all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? Tried playing these games once and they stressed me out. We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, jury number 3. What? Can't you see I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Want to test me, do you? It was like this. Stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up, just like the prim banker said. Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony. Quite true. Now then, juror number 6, Grandma. Oh, is that me, dearie? Is it? What can I do for you, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam? Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Now don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up, and he stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. There. They're stabbing in totally different directions. Ho, ho, ho. What? Bless my stitches, what a muddle. What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the 2 witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh. But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies. Go, Grandma. You rock. I knew we could count on you. All right, we're even. 3 and 3. The scales. I don't believe it. Everyone's Southern. I can't do accents today. Wait. Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. If I did use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this? Answer me this, Dark Jinx. Dark Jinx? What the world? Me? What exactly is the problem? What if the 2 witnesses have slightly different recollections of events? What of it? Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then the Shylock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. He only had 1 stab wound, according to the report. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. They're ready to kill each other now. Oh, boy. Alright, back to work. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the 2 witnesses see 2 different moments of the same crime? It's out of the question. Absolutely not. Because the crime scene said he had 1 stab wound. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. What is it, you dark jinx? Come on, out with it. What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. They're all shocked. What? What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job. As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. Well, yeah, but you're doing it wrong. So where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me some proof. We can do that. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime, as proven by, I believe it's this, let's look at it. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife whilst journeying. Alright, so that is exactly what we need.
Take that!
Take that! This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once. Eh? Only once? It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen 2 different times. Ugh. Alright, I concede defeat. Well, there's the 2 witnesses we need. Only 2 more to convince. We'll see. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won. Alright. What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And if the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. You are nasty, sir. Please tell me he's a barber. Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate. And the trial must continue. Ho, ho, ho. Alright. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witness to return to their places. And I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. Alright. Now we finally get to talk to the witnesses again, because there are some contradictions there. I usually like to go all the way through the witnesses first and hear everyone before I start saying, no, you're a liar, you're a liar. So, Lord Van Zieks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please. Now we're back to Dracula. You're drinking more of your blood. Alright, you gotta get that supernatural strength up there, sir. Okay, just glaring at the court. Ooh, he's mad. Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice, it may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zieks. Is it cold in here, or is it just me? As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honored a deathly silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. They're all like, you're calling us dumb? Well, no matter. There's nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence, after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. He throws off his blade. Forth the witnesses once more. Oh boy, oh boy. Witnesses, I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure. Oh, yes, sir. That I did, sir. Of course I heard it. Oh, yes, sir. I heard it. Yes, sir. On the end, the coachman. I believe it's Beppo. Yes, sir. My lord, sir. If it transpires that in your previous testimony you are attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir. Oh, mio Dio, Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You'll explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination. Alright, so we finally get to examine their testimonies a second time. Oh boy. Various misgivings. I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear it, but we can't press or anything, so let's listen. Well, I, for one, was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus. He fiddled us on the fare, he did, and then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much. I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands. Oh, yes. Yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes. I think Beppo's the weak link here. Counsel, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cousinage. Beppo, explain yourself! I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster. The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare? It's so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty. You have been dishonest, coachman. I'm sorry. You're a disgrace, Beppo, a disgrace. And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week. What? 4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the results come out differently. No, that figures. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. Alright, so we've got to figure out the stabbing then, right? We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely! We're just going to stay positive about it. Alright. I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear it. But
Hold it!
But, what? So there were only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence fare. Is that right? Well, I, for one, was told you had to pay 5 pence for the bus. Alright, can we press him?
Hold it!
Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. I think he seems okay. Okay. And I just told you that I did. Does that mean he has to say anything? A flat fare of 5 pence across the board. It's not something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. It's like imbeciles. Much like the phantom killer you so desperately needed is gone dead and buried. Just like my soul. I'd have been happy if it had ever existed in the first place. Alright. He fiddled us on the fair, he did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
Hold it!
This blood-curdling sight. You mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir. I don't know. He's not shivering? Maybe? Why is he just sitting there, like, sleeping? Well, Mr. Beppo? Oh, me, sir? Do you have something to add in relation to that last statement? Oh, sir, there is just one thing, sir. I was wondering what's going to become of my omnibus, sir, after the trial. What do you mean? I can't help wondering, will no one want to ride in a cursed carriage someone was killed in? Or will everyone want to ride in it? Yes, the cursed carriage could be an attraction, maybe. It could be a sink or swim moment for me. Oh yes, I think it will be. Well, if you could just focus on the testimony for the time being, please. I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Hold it!
So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him. That's what I said, isn't it? Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes.
Hold it!
You think so? You didn't see it? Earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh, yes, that's right. So let's press him again.
Hold it!
Alright, so, this is about the fair. So they're all normal. This is fine. Let's just continue on. It's impossible to make the last run of the day pay. I was so cold. It was all I could do to stop myself from passing out. I'm getting chilblains just listening to you. It was terrible, so I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. Alright, they seem fine. Doesn't a dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny per passenger? They both seem fine. You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. If only there had been a fifth passenger on the omnibus that night, then we would have had another suspect. He does not like this. Let's check the next argument. He fiddled us on the fair, he did, and then I saw my blood-curdling sight as well. All too much. Alright, so this blood-curdling sight, you mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir. Alright, so he's upset about it, but let's keep going. A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man the moment his life is taken. Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed. Good gracious, really? We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker just next to me take a sharp intake of breath, see? That's when I looked through the glass. Okay. That's when I saw that horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. That doesn't make any sense, though. Because he was stabbed in the abdomen. I guess he saw the handle, right? That's the only thing that would make sense. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating. I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Hold it!
So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him? That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before, this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was only the two of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a fifth passenger, but as yet, zero evidence. Then what are we wasting all this time for, eh? It's black and white. The man's guilty. But is he? Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was. It's because, it's because he didn't see it, right? We've already pressed this, I think, but let's do it again to completion. Alright. Oh, yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip. I suppose I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe. What's this? Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. Then when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was just sticking up out of his midriff. That's right, yes, and the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes. So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all. I really thought that I did, but when I go over it again in my head, no, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I? Okay, that was just a little obvious. That was really obvious. Here I was thinking it was going to be something subtle, and it was super obvious. Okay. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment of the crime was committed? No. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on the top of an omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me. I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that all right. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Do you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that butcher stabbed the man? Okay, so let's present the gloves here, right? Alright, let's see if we can present here.
Objection!
And see if that works. Blood-soaked hands? Well, I admit soaked might be laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question. Oh, yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. Ugh! He's gonna eat his staff. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. But, no, that can't be right. You're the liar here, then. That's right, you are quite clear about it. You said it was both hands. Grr. He's like really mad he's been caught. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth? Well, eat your staff. That's really going to make things better, sir.
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands, it was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Especially given his reaction now. Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case? Of course it's not. He was on the list. Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. Something to show this man has a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. I have evidence. My lord. Yes, counsel. The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove, are you sure? Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. Ugh. Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court. This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Yes, it's a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No. Well, it's barely worthy of being called a debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Ugh. Well, what's of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were now owed him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. Cease to exist? There's your motive, Mr. Fairplay. Is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw, in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant? Man. Order! Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Grrr. Stop eating your staff, my guy. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Stop! Oh my gosh. I wish his silence spoke volumes. Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright, now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGilda's hands. Both of them.
Objection!
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. So you keep saying. Oh, he's got something to say, doesn't he? I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir? Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes, I'm almost sure it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? Oh man, we gotta, it would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yugs! Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. All right. Well, we are going to revisit what the witnesses really saw in the next episode. So I hope you guys are enjoying the story here. I'm curious what all we're thinking right now. So right now, I'm kind of thinking that the banker either did the crime himself somehow, was in cahoots with the person who did the crime, or I think least likely is that he just saw an opportunity to annul his debt and knows who the real murderer is, or saw that it wasn't, you know, that it wasn't McGilded. But I don't know. I think it's one of the first two. Which one do I lean more towards? Hard to say right now. They claim there wasn't an assailant, but I kind of think there was an assailant and that he was hiding in that storage bench, because why would that exist if why would we have noticed that if it wasn't a thing that could be done? So I think somehow there was another person in there. That's what I'm leaning to. Now, whether he was in cahoots or using it as an opportunity, that I don't know. But we are going to investigate further in the next episode. So if you like this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/thehour27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description. And if you want to see which games I'll be playing each day, I post them on twitter.com/thehour27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye.